Have you ever wondered why even the smartest students don't always ace the UCAT? At FutureDoc, we have helped thousands of students score in the highest deciles after previous attempts that didn't go so well. And in doing so, we have discovered some of the common mistakes that even the best students make when they are preparing for the UCAT exam. So in this video, we'll be going through some of the common pitfalls that can ruin your chances of getting a high score and what you can do to avoid them. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1 is relying on books. Now, this might be a slightly controversial opinion. There are some books that people tend to use for their UCAT preparation, and this one in particular is pretty common among candidates. However, I personally wouldn't really recommend relying only on books when you are preparing for the UCAT exam for one simple reason. As you know, the UCAT exam is a computer-based exam, so it feels very different when you are preparing from a book. On the exam day, you'll be asked to do different verbal tasks and math tasks, maybe some logical working out, or some IQ style questions that you'll need to do at speed and under pressure. So just like you would do if you were preparing for something like a sporting match, you want to mimic the real thing as much as you can, and preparing with a book is a very different experience. Besides, the book only really covers one part of the preparation anyway. At FutureDoc, we recommend breaking down your UCAT preparation into 3 main phases. Firstly, the familiarization phase. Secondly, doing practice questions untimed. And thirdly, doing timed practice. And the things that you usually find in a UCAT book are only really helpful for that first phase, the familiarization phase, where you are grasping and understanding the different sections and the types of questions that you might be presented with during the exam. So if you still want to use a book to prepare for the UCAT exam, I would recommend that you only use it for phase 1. If you want to find out more about the different phases of the UCAT revision plan and how you can tailor your UCAT plan specifically to you, then I recommend that you check out this revision plan here. Mistake number 2 is not allocating enough time. A lot of people underestimate the UCAT exam and don't realize just how much time you should be spending on preparation and revision. Typically, you will need between 3 weeks and 3 months to prepare, sometimes even more, although just 3 weeks is cutting it very, very fine. Keep in mind that the UCAT exam is a skill that needs to be developed, and that will take time. You need to get familiar with all of the different strategies and techniques for each section and apply them and consolidate your knowledge. So doing all of that in just 3 weeks is going to be really difficult. Also, remember that the amount of time that it takes to learn a new skill will differ from person to person. What might take person A 1 month to learn may take person B 3 months. The important thing is to give yourself enough time so that you are not rushing your preparation, and so you can split your revision into those 3 phases that I mentioned earlier. Every year, many students come to us asking for the best resources and the best UCAT plan to help with their revision. At FutureDoc, we make it really easy to create a study plan for each student that plays to their unique strengths and that gives them enough time to prepare effectively so that they are absolutely ready for the exam on the day. If you would like a personalized plan that is tailored to you, then check out the FutureDoc website in the description below. Mistake number 3 is burning yourself out. Another very common issue that we see is students not really knowing how much time to spend on their revision prep every day. We like to see UCAT preparation kind of like sprint training. It is high intensity and requires a lot of effort and energy in quite a small amount of time. But you don't want to overdo it because you will end up burning yourself out if you do too much for too long. So for the UCAT exam, it is important that you do short bursts of high intensity and you take long breaks. Remember that the UCAT exam is actually 2 hours long, so I would tailor your revision and your study plan to match that time. Mistake number 4 is worrying too much about your score. Another mistake that students commonly make is getting too worried and stressed out and anxious about scores that they're getting on their mocks. This is really easy to do, especially if you are aware of the scores that are considered competitive, and those that don't usually make the cut. But even if you get a score that isn't great on one of the mocks, you need to remember that that is not the real and the final score. The whole point of doing mock exams is for you to find out your areas of weakness, to focus on the things that you are getting wrong, and simply to improve those over time. It really isn't that helpful to panic about how high you're scoring. Remembering this will help to keep you more relaxed, and that will allow you to work even better, because we always do better when we are at ease and when we are focused. When you are stressed out, you really can't concentrate that well on what you're supposed to be doing. Also, bear in mind that not every single mock exam is a true reflection of what the UCAT exam is going to be like. Some mock exams can give you the wrong impression of what the UCAT exam is really like, so make sure that you are using appropriate resources during your preparation. Mistake number 5 is focusing too much on your weaknesses. It is really important to understand what your weaknesses are and what you need to focus on in order for you to improve. But don't forget to think about the big picture and what you're trying to achieve. For example, you might realize that verbal reasoning is your weakest section, and that's where you score the least each time. You may then spend ages trying to improve it, but you might not manage to get it up to the level of the other sections. So you really need to be thinking about how you can spend your time and manage it effectively. If you are applying to a university where verbal reasoning is worth double, for example, Nottingham, then you will definitely want to spend more time focusing on that section. However, if you are applying to somewhere like King's College London or Newcastle, where they just want the highest score possible, then you can tailor your UCAT preparation and change your mindset. If spending 2 hours on the verbal reasoning section might increase your score by 10 points, but spending 2 hours on quantitative reasoning will improve your score by 30 points, then spending that time on quantitative reasoning is a better investment. At the end of the day, it all comes down to being strategic and making sure that you are making the best possible use of your time. And mistake number 6 is not rationing your UCAT mocks. There are only 4 official UCAT mocks available on their website, and as you can imagine, these are the truest reflection of what the real exam is going to be like, so you want to make sure that you use these mocks wisely. I would recommend saving 2 of those mock exams for that last week where you'll be doing intensive UCAT prep, so that you get used to what the exam is going to be really like. So that was it for today's video. If you have sat the UCAT exam in the past and maybe it didn't go so well and you have some tips of your own, then leave them in the comments below so that others can learn from your experience too. I hope that you found this video useful, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that we can make more UCAT content to help you smash the exam. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.